You ready? Welcome to the January 15th, 2009 Telecommunications Board meeting. My name is Eric Sales. We'll do a roll call. Marvin Hilton.
Here.
Angie Graves.
Here.
Aubrey Shepherd.
Here.
Fred Cusinelli.
Here.
And Andrew Mays.
Here.
Good. First order of business is to elect a new chair, as ours has recently been resigned. So, anyone like to make a motion on that?
Nomination, you mean?
Nomination.
Yeah. I'd like to nominate Aubrey Shepherd for chair.
I second it.
Aubrey, do you accept the nomination?
Only if somebody else is volunteering. I'll be happy to do it if you choose.
Then we have a new chair, Aubrey Shepherd.
Why don't we take a vote real quick?
Yes, Jeff, take a vote.
Okay. All in favor of Aubrey?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous.
No. Do you stay as vice chair? You do, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still vice chair. So, all right.
Do we have to make it official, or it just stays that way? Right?
It never changed. So
Oh, okay.
I mean,
All right.
I think he was presiding today as vice chair, so.
Yes. So that would be appropriate. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Slide them down. Okay. Well, I guess you've already said it's the January 15th meeting, and you've called a meeting to order and elected a new chair, and I'm the victim. I'll try to do the best I can. Mr. Cusinelli might want to be our parliamentarian to be sure that I follow the rules properly,
Oh, don't worry.
and anybody else has advice, I would expect it, and
I have a
welcome
suggestion.
your suggestions and help. Yes, sir.
I have a suggestion. I've noticed in the past that we've had some interruptions among the members speaking, and I think it might help that if we would ask for comments before we move on to another agenda item or move to another discussion subject. Before you leave a subject, you ask if there are other comments.
Okay. Anybody else have something up front here? You're new, Andy. We welcome you and hope that you'll enjoy being here. I understand you've got some background that you want to tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a Fayetteville native, born and raised, and currently work at Fayetteville Public Schools as a technology architect. In that capacity, I'm involved in telecommunications infrastructure and contract negotiations at that technical level. And that primarily is my background in the telecommunications field. Prior to that work, I've got experience in software development, database administration. So I've been working in technology for a little over 10 years, and that's
Well,
me.
we certainly need that kind of help because we're going to be facing discussion of a lot of new technology as we go along. So that's wonderful, Andy. And thank you for volunteering for this board.
Thanks. Looking forward to it.
Okay, the next order of business, next thing on the order of business is the approval of the November 20th, 2008 minutes. We did not meet in December. If you would please look at these and consider what you might find inappropriate.
There is a typo on page 2
Okay.
where it says compliant. It should say complaint.
I'm sorry?
It's the second paragraph underneath a review of previously addressed complaints.
Uh-huh.
There's a word where it says the beam is compliant, should be complaint.
Okay. Is Rick here tonight? He'll make that adjustment, I'm sure, as appropriate on the final version of the minutes. Anybody else see something?
One more letter. Nothing drastically change the outcome.
I'm sorry?
No.
Oh, it's in there twice? Okay. All right.
I would move that we approve the minutes as amended.
Second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the minutes are approved for November. The next thing is our City 16 television report. Is there someone here to give that?
It's
So
in the form of a written.
let's look at it in that case.
Yeah, it's on
I
the
was
back.
hoping Rick was here, but I noticed that maybe he wasn't at work today or something.
It's on the back page.
Hope he's not ill.
No. Nope.
Is it on the back of a page?
Yeah, it's on the back page. There's mine.
Okay, thank you, Eric. City 16 report, I'll read this to you if you like. It's from Rick, and he's the PEG office coordinator and serving as cable administrator basically now, I believe. And his report says that since the last Telecom Board meeting, the station has purchased 2 hard drives and recorders, a Panasonic camera that records to memory card and to tape, a camera case, 2 Sennheiser wireless microphones, a replacement power supply, and a tripod. In conjunction with community access television, we're changing out the lights in the PEG Center to dimmable fluorescent bulbs. Sounds good. After 18 months with a Media Star playback system, we think we have worked out the bugs and are looking to add capacity to the system. New parking signs have been placed on our parking lot as we've agreed to share some of our spaces with the police department squad cars. This is due to the construction of the new municipal court building. Well, I don't think we have any choice about sharing with the police department, do we, Sky? Thank you for sharing that. Any question about that we need to ask Rick at
Yes.
the earliest opportunity? Yes, sir.
I think this is easy to answer. I don't know if changing the lights, is that just the studio lights or is that the entire?
Those are the building
It's
lights,
the
aren't
lights
they?
in all the control rooms and in the edit suites, just to have lower cost on electricity.
So it's not studio lights? Okay.
But I think I've been in the studio area or the control room on Monday night doing a short take, and I believe they do provide good illumination in there. And I don't know how they affect the studio. Those haven't been replaced, so.
Not at all. The studio's the same.
So will those same, are there similar lights for the studio lights?
No, the
Can you get
studio
some?
has fluorescents, the big long tubes.
Uh-huh.
But eventually, not this year, but probably next year, we'll try to replace all of the big studio lighting instruments with fluorescents. This year, we're planning on getting the dimmer board. That'll be half of it, and then next year would be the lights.
So that'll mean a different,
Color temperature, yes, it'll make the cameras look a lot better, and it'll be a lot cheaper because they won't use 1,500, 5,000 watts.
PEG Center always has budget to consider. So any other question on Rick's report? Someone want to move that we accept the report?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do we have any compliments? Anybody know of any compliments? I
We're
believe,
going to do the cat
I didn't
report.
see one in the,
I'd be honored to read this one.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Could I?
Oh, you're on here. I thought when I saw the thing before, there was no cat report tonight. I'm sorry. I looked at the earlier version and I don't think it was in there. I
The agenda
apologize.
changes from time to time, so.
We do that.
No problem. I knew you'd get to me eventually. I have some flyers.
Is the one about the United? Oh, this is something. Thank you, Scott.
So on the front side of the flyer, I'm promoting our Community Media Summit. It's the slogan is Create, Connect, Community Media Summit, bringing together community media makers, artists, activists, and advocates. This event is planned for March 27th and 28th, sponsored by actually it's co-sponsored by CAT, Fayetteville, and the Southwest region of the Alliance for Community Media. They'll be having their regional board meeting here on the Friday, and we'll have a video viewing at that event. And then on Saturday, we'll have workshops. We're still shopping for speakers. We will have a big keynote, and we're hoping to have an opening session as well with some really important speakers nationally. However, we are hoping that we can get, and every year the CAT Board and Telecom Board get together, so that might be a good place to do something like that, and maybe invite City Council. But we would like to do some kind of a council. We have 3 sections that we're doing workshops in. One is outreach and inclusivity, trying to include more people and who's missing, collaborating with other organizations. The second part will be new media, community media 2.0, and how media makers locally can use that to help build community in your actual community rather than online, the virtual community. We're bringing it down to earth a little bit. And then the last session will be policy. And that's where we're thinking that some of the policy makers would be able to attend and help us decide where we want to go with our telecommunications infrastructure. And, that being you all's #1 mandate, we hope that you will get involved in that and you will be receiving invites individually or as a group. All of that is now being developed. So try to keep those dates open, especially the Saturday, the 28th. It's just a kind of during the day thing. But in the evening, we'll be having our Fat Cat Awards. That's our big fundraiser for Community Access TV, and we recognize all the producers who have submitted programs for 2008. And I believe that's going to happen in the CAT studio, unless we get a big sponsor. We'd like to have it at the hotel, but for now it'll be in the CAT studio. On the flip side is more exciting news. Along with the Northwest Arkansas Community Foundation and some of the funding the city gives us, we saved a lot of money last year, and we've been trying to web stream. The city went on the website or went on the internet about a year ago, and it took us a little while to catch up, but we were very fortunate. We got a really good deal with the same service that the city uses, Granicus. So if you don't mind, I'll take just a couple of minutes to do a demonstration of how you can find the website on the channel and how you can look at it at home, and give you just a little bit of instruction about it, okay? So here we are, and this probably looks like your desktop at home, and you usually have an icon to go on the internet. This one's Explorer. And if you go to the address bar and just type in catfayetteville.org. And hit return or enter. And there it is. I'm very happy and pleased to say that we'd been developing this website before we got the grant with just volunteers. So it's all open source software. We use Drupal. And the committee developed this, and then we had a subcommittee that looked at the web streaming potential. Right here we have a lot of the little tabs that you can look things up, like the About Us page that has a lot of frequently asked questions, our services, the classes that we offer. There's been discussion about this tab because it had schedule and it shows, oh, he already changed it. We've got a work study who started with us from U of A, and I cannot speak highly enough of this gentleman. He's fresh out of high school. This is his first year at U of A. He started in the fall, and he has developed a sub-website to this one for our conference, which I'll show you in a moment. But this afternoon when he came in, I gave him a laundry list of things to do, and boom, he did it. This at one time had our schedule of classes, but we have workshops over here, and it was under services, and someone today recommended, could you put the schedule where it says schedule? And we thought that was a good idea, and boom, he already did it. So here's our program schedule. Underwriters, these are people who underwrote last year our fall fundraiser, and we'll be having a lot more of those for our next fundraiser that's coming up in March. This is our underwriting program, and right here are Acrobat reader boxes, and sometimes they take a little while to load. But what we have here is the levels of underwriting and the guidelines for underwriting. There are a lot of things you can't do on non-commercial television, so we make it very clear to people who are underwriting on our channel the things they can and cannot do. And this is taking a little while to load up. But if you're at home, you'll probably be able to see this a lot quicker. I know on my computer, even though it's taxed a little bit right now, these things usually pop right up. Events, this is a calendar, and we're having a difficult time with this because we have things that haven't happened monthly, and I think we're going to change it to another calendar because every month we have to re-enter all the information again. We've been working with this for a few months to get bugs out and things like that. So right now they have a few things on there, but this will be fully loaded once we get the real calendar in there. Reports. Once again, we're using the Acrobat Reader, and it takes a little while to boot up, but this has all of my reports, and particularly you, Mr. Mays, since you're new coming on board, you can look up some of the old reports and see what's been going on with the organization, and that's all the reports for 2008. Here's the blog page. We have a staff page. Trying to find the way to bring this down, but there's everyone on the staff. And when someone comes in here, you can log in down here, and it's like a social networking site. You can go in there and do things on this site. In the future, we're hoping to get people to be able to post video and pictures. Right now we have forums, the blog. Let's see, we have links. These are all kinds of links of other collaborating organizations, people that do community media around the country, and just some really good links for anything you'd ever want to know about concerning community media. Really, really good information here. Our news, we have a volunteer page, our policies, the CAT board, and here's Watch Online, but also down here is a Watch Online. And if you want this, someone also gave us the recommendation of making this TV be up here so that when you first log on, you can just click on and watch. That's the home page right now. And as you can, I'm saving the Watch Online. Did you notice? Okay, right here is what I was telling you about. Flint has prepared a whole website for our Community Media Summit. So if you go here, you go to the page, and I believe there's a link. Oh, right here, you have to, if you didn't know this, if there's not a home button, you can always click on the logo, and that'll take you to the home page if it has the little hand that shows up. I just found that out. We're all learning, with the new technology. So this is what Flint has done since over his Christmas break, and he created a whole website. He did this all by himself. This wasn't the whole group that did this, and pretty impressive. It's got history, video from the Texas Video Summit, information about the Benton Foundation, which they are considering being co-sponsors of the event, which is really exciting because they'll help us bring in speakers, and they're talking about doing a council of foundations. They're a foundation, and if they invite foundations in the area to come and have a discussion, that would be a more efficient way to do it rather than CAT, the nonprofit, inviting all the foundations in the area. So that would be real exciting for us. Different forums will have ways for people to be able to interact about the event, and then just information about CAT. And it will be user-based as well. And it also has right here the Citizen's Guide to Public Interest Obligations of Digital Television Broadcasters. There's going to be a lot of discussion about community media and what our community would like to see. So we're hoping this event will be a big success in that capacity. Now I'm going to go back And on this side, we have a lot of things. And another person gave us some feedback that all these little buttons with little cat footprints, that we should have menus that come down and add this information over there so there's not so much busyness. And, you know, we do listen, so any kind of input that even you all want to give, you know, we take it to the group and say, does this sound like something that would work, or how difficult would this be? And, you know, we try to make changes like we did with the program schedule today. So I think we're ready for it, other than, this homepage. That's the Summit homepage. Let's see what happens when we go to the video.
Will it drive the system crazy in here if you hit the live button and let people see it running?
If you hit the live button?
Yes, what will that do?
Is there a live button?
Well, you watch live.
Oh, yeah. That's what we're
I'm
doing
saying
now.
let
And
people
it brings
see it.
up this page, and our policy committee put together, you know, we have a lot of policy we're going to have to look at with this website, because we want to be able to make it social networking. We want people to interact. But at the same time, we have a lot of social responsibility. So the policy committee got together and developed this wording for a disclaimer so that people can really watch, you know, if their children are viewing or what they want to see. And basically, it's a disclaimer. There are programs on community access television that may contain material which may not be suitable for all audiences. CAT distributes programs with viewer discretion advisory content after midnight Central Standard Time. So, you know, we're hoping that we can open up all of the extra. We have unlimited band space, so we will be able to have our users make their own little channels within this website, but we do need to create policy before we do that. It's still connecting, so, but it does tell you about, you know, workshops, and I'm seeing now it's running a little slow. Usually there's a donate button here. We've got a donate button on every page that connects to PayPal. In fact, on the home page, there's usually a donate button here, so this is taking a little bit of time. But what you do, because it is in a little screen, and a lot of people are concerned about that, you can, once you get video happening here, you can right-click, and you go to an option that says Zoom, and you go to full screen. And then it opens up, and you can see the picture on the whole screen. 1 week ago, I did this demonstration for the CAT board, kind of for practice, but they needed to see this too. And it didn't take this long for it to boot up, so I'm not really sure why it's not, but it's been a funny day.
Well,
He said he had a hard time getting on Google,
I've watched it
too.
some and even downloaded a show. And
Yeah, last week it downloaded,
like
I think
that.
at 6 o'clock on Thursday night, it was Democracy Now! Was on, and we got to see a little demonstration of that, but it looks like we're having a little trouble just, and I noticed that with all the Acrobat readers booting up, and I don't want to take any more of your
Yeah,
time, but try this at home, and if you don't have access to a computer at home, you can come down to Community Access Television. We'll show you how to use it, and make sure that you're computer literate, and you can do emails and attachments, and, you know, we teach all the video classes as well, and we do want to welcome you to come through our training. You know, when you're on the Telecommunications Board, you hear a lot about the organization, but you don't get to actually, you know, participate. So we invite you to come down. Every Monday night, we're doing technology workshops, and we'll answer questions for people. Anything they want to bring to us, you know, try to stump our technology person, because he thinks he can answer any question you have. He can just go online and ask, and he'll show you how to do that. So it's kind of an empowerment thing, and we're just really appreciative of the Northwest Arkansas Community Foundation and the City of Fayetteville for helping us with the funding. And be sure and tune in, and I'll be telling you more about the summit in the next couple of months.
question I have about archiving now. This will not be archived the same way Government Channel is that correct?
No, the web streaming will not, although we had a pretty in-depth technology meeting today, and we're exploring some ways to be able, and it's really exciting what technology is going to make available, because we think the playback system that we have is best used when we play back MPEG 3. Right now we have a lot of people submitting DVDs, and we just transfer them over. We've had some issues with the DVD carousels that we've been using. We've already been through 2 of those, and because they're consumer grade, they have 300 DVD playback, but we burn them up because we have so many programs. So we're starting to MPEG everything. Once we do, and once we train our producers to be able to do that, they will be able to submit programs from their home computer online to our website. in MPEG 3 format. So we're really excited about that. But, you know, we're taking it baby steps right now, and we're going to do it in-house and be able to perfect it. And what I thought might be good is if we can get the whole digital archive, we can also offer it up to the library perhaps. You know, and podcasting is turning into not just audio, it'll be video as well. So we're really hoping that people will be able to, you know, use this wonderful video archive we have. We have some incredible history of Fayetteville in our archive, and we want to make that available to all the people. Any other
So
questions?
there's no on-demand as such at this moment?
Yes, on the site, we have on demand, but right now it's cat videos. Just because we still have to take this to policy so that other people can submit videos, but they take responsibility for their content. So right now, we do have some wonderful videos on demand, and maybe I should have went to that page first. Maybe we could play a video. Let's see. It seems like the internet might be moving kind of slow here. Actually, here's one. We have a whole video on demand page. Let's go there. And all of these are hooked up through YouTube. So that's how we're doing it. Well, I personally learned how to do links and be able to move things around, so people that actually log into the site will be able to, you know, use it and develop things. Right now it's just staff and the people who are on the committee that can go in and change the website around. Here we go to cat promos, and let's see how long it takes this to boot up. Technology isn't always what you expect it to be in live situations, so it's taking a little bit of time here to boot
Well,
up.
we're all
And video
impatient.
does-
Once we've ever had one operate fast, we want everything to pop up. Yes.
But if you're at home, you'll probably be able to look at it very easily, and if your computer isn't powerful enough, you can come down to the CAT station and we'll help you out and be able to watch these. It is taking a long time. Let me just see. There's one video that's on the home page, and let's see if it'll let us look at that one. It's looking like it's...
So the ones you're trying to pull up, they're MPEGs.
Yeah, the mayor did a wonderful plug for CAT, and that's what I'm trying to show right here, just to promote CAT to the community. And, you know, it's taking a little time for it to boot up.
Well, it does work fine for my home computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it works. I can testify.
So you have
Everybody
seen
else
it?
hasn't
Okay.
seen it yet, but-
Well, this is kind of neat too. One of our volunteers, we were having trouble just getting our dub form up there because the logos and the artwork on it. So she redeveloped it and made it to where you could fill out the form online, which is something that's really handy because now we're doing the Community Media Summit as well. We're going to have registration available online so people can register and pay online. You know, they can just do it from home. It's getting close. I can see that it's almost there. Sure wanted to show you some video.
Well, it is a wonderful thing that we have this, and it seems like a short time since we were talking about it, and suddenly you were able to do it, and that's impressive.
Well, you know, what I should have done is just played the video from last week because we were able, you know, that was a good, and I was kind of practicing on, actually, I've got to give credit to Jim Bemis. I was mentioning that I was going to tell about the CAT website, and he said, well, why don't you just show them? And I went, oh, of course, you know, do a demonstration. So I practiced last week, and everything worked real well. I don't know if it's the weather or what, but moving kind of slow tonight. I know you need to move on, so thank you for your time, and please come down to the PEG Center. We've got some great classes and some excellent volunteers and trainers to be, you know, willing to help you with any of your technology needs.
We'll blame it on Murphy's Law.
Maybe by the end of the meeting it'll boot up.
You know, a $500.
Can I leave it up, and if it does, you can at least
Yeah.
see? Okay, because we won't have audio anyway on this particular system, so then you'd be able to see it. I may just go to the watch online. and
We'll
see.
try to pause it, look at it if it gets up going.
You know, a $500 picture tube will burn out first to protect the 10-cent fuse. You
Is
know.
that right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it'll connect. Thanks so much for your time.
Anybody else have a question for Scott? Okay. Well, we'll move along then, and we appreciate that. We're really happy to see that you're able to do all that now. There is a related problem that I don't think we have on the agenda, but if I may say it right now, is that if anyone wants to save the digital files on Government Channel, I believe you'll have to do them The January ones now, somebody correct me from the staff over there, from Government Channel staff, but I believe they will disappear from Granicus as the new ones for the coming year are put up there. So you just have to run your computer for an hour or 3 hours or whatever a particular meeting is. And there's a lot more up there than there was when it began a year ago. We've got committee meetings of all different city departments. We've got the mayor's transitional team meeting so that you can see what people have said at those. There's a lot up there. But the way Granicus is set up with Government Channel is, as I understand it, that these things will replace the first meeting in January was replaced by the new first meeting in January a year later. So they don't have permanent storage for this at the moment, except on DVDs and as somebody makes a digital copy and saves it. So that's fair warning to some who want their own private archive of those things. The next item is compliments. Did somebody find one in our packet? I didn't remember seeing a compliment here. Oh, Nancy Allen? Okay. Hi, Rick. Tonight's my last city council meeting. I was wondering if you would make a copy for me, please. All of you at the Government Channel have been wonderful to me. It will remain my favorite channel. She didn't mean that, Sky. She'd like yours to, bet. Anyway, please pass on my best wishes for a wonderful holiday and to everyone, and my thanks for everything. Best, Nancy. Well, I think Government Channel people liked working with her. I had that impression, and I know that certainly the Telecom Board appreciates the fact that she attended some of our meetings, even some of our committee meetings when she was on the council, and contributed as almost a full-fledged member. So thank you, Nancy, for that compliment.
She will be missed.
Sir?
She will be missed.
She will be missed. I think we all have enjoyed her tenure. She's a lively member of the board who contributed a lot, and we appreciated working with her. Let's look for the complaints now.
No, there's another one.
Oh, another?
On the
Yeah,
other
there it is,
side.
on the back.
Oh, United Way says, thank you, City of Fayetteville Cable Administration, for creating opportunities for a better tomorrow in our community. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. And we can show that for sub camera, somebody's on it. And I think their fundraising goal may not have been met for the two counties, if I understand the news on that. So maybe it's not too late to donate to United Way. I know a lot of nonprofits are hurting right now. Is there another?
Those are the only compliments.
Okay, so complaints about ATT Uverse. Somebody want to present on that from the public?
You gotta go over the complaints.
We're just going to have to read it?
There's complaints.
Okay.
I think there's 3 complaints, not including Mr. Bemis's.
Okay, well, I'm sure he'll want to present his own. And the first one, as I understood it, there's an attempt to resolve it also in here. The complainant that called in was unhappy that Cox was moving the Christian channels, that would be 65 and 74, from her subscription tier and into one that cost $18 more a month. She said she's received these channels for a long time and speculates that because they're very popular, Cox has found a way to increase their income. The Cox representative she contacted told her there are no plans to substitute programming on the channels. Besides getting fewer channels at the same cost, she feels discriminated against as there are no other channels that are being moved that she knows of. In addition, the complainant wished to talk with a local representative and plans to visit the local Cox office. Action taken. The customer's concern was shared with Jamie Fry, the Cox customer service representative. and here are the comments submitted by Jamie Fry. The customer feels like it is discrimination to be moving the religious channels, especially in this time. Upset that we're moving stations but not replacing them with anything or reducing her cost. And Ms. Jamie Fry continues, I explained that the adjustments help Cox to offer advanced services in the future, including additional HD channels and more video on demand. Is that what VOD means here?
Yes.
Content that our customers are frequently requesting. I offered the customer a free digital upgrade for 6 months. Also, I offered to have a tech come out and install the service at no cost. I emphasize the benefits and the value of the digital services. And the last part of that from the Cox representative is the complainant's going to discuss this with her husband and call me back after the Thanksgiving holiday. So this is all the way back to November. The second one is about cable service. Description of the complaint problem. The complainant said a Cox Cable promotion offering a monthly rate of $15.95 was left on her doorknob in January or February. She called to inquire and was told the promo had changed to include 6 months free cable in addition to the stated rate. Both she and a neighbor signed up. When the free 6 months ended in August, their bills were more than $15.95. And the first of several visits and calls to Cox was made. Some adjustments to her bill have been made, but she still hasn't been billed the promised rate. Apparently, neither has the bill of her neighbor been reduced to that amount. Action taken. All right, according to Kelly Zaga, Rick just wanted you to see a copy of the correspondence. We believe it is resolved with the customer and will help her neighbor too. Signed, Kelly Zaga. And her note was something like this. Dear Mrs. So-and-so, I would like to thank you for taking the time to speak with me regarding your recent billing concerns. I again apologize, and this may have, for any inconvenience this may have caused you. As we discussed, your account will be adjusted in the amount of $405 plus taxes and fees for the next 6 months. The first adjustment was placed on your account today, and the last one will be in May 2009. If you have additional questions, please feel free to contact me. And this is signed, in this case, by Jennifer Childs, customer advocate. The third complaint form here is about service to a particular location, and it says complainant called Cox. Cox sent an employee to mark the ground, which was later washed away by rain. This happens a lot with these people marking the utilities if you live in a neighborhood where that goes on for construction or something. The complainant called again last week. The ground was remarked, still waiting for cable connection. He phoned today and was told by the service representative that it's too much expense to run the line. Kim Thatcher with Cox Field Services took action by investigating the situation and saw in the account notes that the customer will be serviceable once the cable drop has been pre-buried. She spoke to Crystal McMichael in the serviceability group and determined there was a drop order already scheduled for January 2nd, and it's unclear why a customer service rep would have told complainant that the line was too expensive to run. Ms. Thatcher has put in a request to see if the work can be completed sooner, and we'll see that a follow-up call is made on December 30th. The next one here, we haven't missed any. I think they're just nicely published on both sides so that we don't waste so much paper. This complaint is that the complainant saw the advertisement for AT&T's U-verse at the AT&T store on 6th Street which is now, by the way, officially Martin Luther King Boulevard as of today, for those who didn't get to go to the frostbitten ceremony of removing the covers from the signs at 3 o'clock this afternoon. You can see it on Government Channel in a few days. It will be run. When he asked to subscribe, he was told it was not available for his area as the lines have not been laid yet. He claims this is false advertising and should not be allowed by the city. But I don't think we have a resolution on that one, do we? No resolution?
I have some info on that.
All right, would you please provide us that info?
Okay. If you had a sign like this put on your door, it means that they're in your area and, can you see it? It was hanging on my door that it's available in your neighborhood. And I called Miss Foraker, and it is up and running in parts of Fayetteville, and you can subscribe. And they're working night and day. They have a night shift on that's in the process of laying the UVerse fiber. If you presently have DSL, the chances are that you will also be able to get UVerse. But once they expand this, you'll not only get the UVerse, but you will get DSL as well. And your phone will be voice over, of course. And you can go to AT&T.com and get their channel lineup, and it comes out, be prepared, it's 16 pages long for their channel lineup. And I was just frantically looking through it to see if they carried the religious channels, and they do, and it's on their lowest tier. So it might be kind of a persuader to have Cox put those channels back.
I bet Cox will want to match that, would you?
But they are working, and it shouldn't be too long. And she also informed me that it won't be too much longer before they approach our PEG Center to add those to the lineup, the PEG channels. So they will be as true to their word that they are going to be putting those on. You'll be contacted by, I'm sure, the engineers in the very near future, but they just started it. They just started it to be about a week ago. So it's new, and it is up and running. And just be patient. It'll get to you, according to Ms. Foraker. It will get to you. And as she said, those on the fringe areas that can't ever get it, it will be included on Dish Network's lineup. So.
What do you mean it'll be included on Dish Network's lineup?
Well, as you know, AT&T and Dish Network have kind of gotten together. It's like Verizon and Time Warner up in the Northeast. And at that meeting that was like 2 years ago, I remember when Kit Williams was here, she said that it would be added to the UVerse, and also, but for those customers who couldn't get it, it would be added to the Dish Network lineup.
You mean
I don't know all
the
of
PEG
them.
channels? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're saying people out in the counties around here would possibly have access to it, that may not have it now on cable or something?
Yeah, I don't know about all the channels on the UVerse, but she did mention the PEG channels.
Thank you for gathering that, because
And she would have, I'm sure she would have been here tonight, but she's out of town. She's down in, I believe, in Little Rock.
okay, anybody from the public want to ask anything or tell us anything about UVerse? Anybody had experience with it or anything? So far, nobody signed up for it. Okay, if that's all we have on complaints from other things, policy and procedure, or what? Forum and brainstorming.
We should probably let Mr. Beams address complaints.
On number 9?
Well, are we not still on complaints?
Well, I thought that was going to get thrown into Agenda 9.
Oh.
Yeah, we were going to
Yeah.
combine
Okay.
all three of those.
Sorry about that.
On 9.
Yeah.
Forum and brainstorming.
Excuse me, could I point out, just wanted to let you know it worked.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I saw it.
Sorry it took a little longer.
So there's a cat channel.
But that's what it looks like when it's full screen, so it is just like all your other TV pictures, and Sometimes it takes a little longer to load up. Haven't had that problem, but I did want you to see it, and, you know, all you do is right-click on that little screen, go to Zoom, and then full screen, and it takes your whole picture that way.
I remember the first time I used something like that on the Macintosh and had no idea how to get out of full screen for a while.
Escape. Thank you.
Well, you can hit escape, or you can go.
Escape, and there you go, you're
on the
back
Mac
where
at
you
the top,
started.
it'll give you a
Right.
little box to pull down and change it. But,
Right.
somebody who does it for the first time will wonder where that is, because it's not something you
How do I
normally
get
see
out
on
of
your
this?
screen.
Right. Well, thank you very much. I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you for showing that to us. Well, shall we go on to the discussion of the forum and brainstorming sessions? Did somebody have a report?
Well, what I was going to say is it's my understanding that we were doing the meeting forum, which we decided to call it, in response to Mr. Bemis's complaint. And his complaint specifically was that the city improperly overrode the request by an alderman to do 2 roundtables. And I believe that's the main part of Mr. Bemis's complaint. And in order to answer that complaint, we were going to start out by doing the forum to answer several questions that were specified. And then the second part to answer that complaint was going to be the brainstorming session. And I also submitted a possible agenda for a planning session for that forum that we have not held a planning session yet. So it seems to me like we ought to go ahead and do it if we're going to.
Yeah, we've been through a busy time with holidays and all the things, and all the changes we've had in the city. And it is time to start on that process. So, does anybody want to suggest something? Mr. Hilton, you've been doing the most thinking and planning over this, and Mr. Bemis. So I think we need your leadership in this activity.
Well,
Did we set a committee previously?
yes, we have a committee that also would be open to any other member of the Telecom Board. And I believe the committee, as I understand it, consisted of myself, Angie, you, and Mr. Bemis.
Okay, I thought I remembered that. Well,
And it just, you know, I already sent out a suggested agenda for that planning session. And I think all we have to do is, at this point, decide on a time.
time to meet, a committee meeting. Maybe Angie has the most likelihood of having conflicts. What would be a good time and day? I think it's pretty easy for me to accommodate these things unless there's some other meeting. There are lots of meetings, lots of nights in the city, and so we want to,
I'm better at lunch.
better at lunch?
I'm better at 12 o'clock.
Mr. Bemis, does your teaching schedule allow you to go to a meeting at noon? Angie's suggesting a noon meeting.
Yes. I can be at noon. I have some other comments to make, but I can be.
Well, we were going to get to your other comments too, but we were just trying to set this meeting, if you like. Marvin, noon?
That'd be fine with me.
Angie, a certain day best?
What about Monday?
Monday?
Next Monday?
Doesn't have to be next Monday. Monday's a good day.
It's coming
it'll be all
Monday, it's Martin Luther King
Oh,
Day.
it's Martin Luther King Day. That doesn't make a difference to me. I'm working anyway.
Well, it might make a
Doesn't mean
difference
Marcus
in
closed
staffing or for, we do have to have these recorded, so
Right.
it's a public meeting, so I don't know if it does make a difference. Mr. Bemis, would you comment on that meeting date for Monday at noon?
Monday is a holiday, right?
This coming Monday is a holiday.
Yeah.
I can be there. I don't know if, that makes any difference. We're closed.
Okay, government channel's closed, we can't get it.
So the the following
recorded that
Monday.
day.
How about the following Monday?
So the following Monday, that'll be
26th.
26th. Okay. And who agreed to be chairman of that?
I think that'd be Marvin.
Marvin?
I'll coordinate it.
Okay, Marvin's going to coordinate that meeting then.
So
Okay,
January
26th.
26th at noon.
And as usual, everyone else is invited. It's not an exclusive, just because you.
I assume it's an open meeting.
Yeah, and it's open.
Please.
You're definitely invited as a board member. I mean, it's.
Thank you for the invitation.
We hope you don't take it that you're not, you can be on the committee. You can function as part of the committee if you attend. It's the way we've been, maybe a little informal about that, but that makes it a better decision. If a decision's made about anything, to have everybody do it. What else then, Mr. Hilton?
As far as that part of it, that's, I guess we're set. I'll send out the suggested agenda for that planning session once again. I think part of the content of that forum will probably, if I remember right, I'd probably need to look at the notes on that, but it might touch on the government channel policy. And if the government channel policy didn't enter into that forum, it would also enter into the brainstorming session. And all of this works in conjunction with the fact that if you look at the record, you will see that there was an understanding that we were to revise the government channel policy in addition to the changes that were already made and approved by the City Council. And there are several inconsistencies and vaguenesses left. And in fact, we do have a policy, an alternative policy that failed by a narrow margin to be passed by the Telecom Board.
So are you saying it would be appropriate in that subcommittee meeting to discuss any of that material, or do we need a separate
What I'm saying
subcommittee
is
meeting
that
for policy?
that'll be part of the discussion as to whether we should include that in that.
I think that's
forum.
appropriate then.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Bemis, are you ready for him, Mr. Hilton?
Yes.
Thank you, Jim Bemis. Mr. Mays, good to see you here. I've been a beneficiary of your talents for 7 or 8 years now in the school system, and I can tell you all, he runs a real great ship. He makes it happen, and it's going to be wonderful to have him on the board. I'm just a teacher's aide over at Happy Hollow, but
I'm aware.
I use your service. Second, compliment to Kat and them for putting together their. Man, that is exciting news. We've been looking for 10 years that I know of to get this stuff moving on the internet and all. I think that's great. Another compliment would be for the internet protocol. That is the one that we're going to get through UVerse. I hadn't heard that about Dish. I'm a complete AT&T customer, and the fact that they're going to have PEG channels on there is something new to me. I hadn't heard, maybe that was discussed at our meeting 2 years ago, but I haven't heard it since, and I haven't heard the Dish. I'm a Dish customer. So I'm looking forward to it either way, to have the PEG channels on both. That's a real benefit, and it's be real interesting to see how it does work in the county and how far they take the channels out away from the city, which is a limitation we have on Cox. Maybe that'd be worth looking into. Who will be the customers of AT&T on their UVerse? Okay, now we get to the wonky part, and I apologize. Before we begin, because I have differed with Mr. Hilton and Ms. Graves on the purpose of the meeting. I just simply wanted to get it clarified that it is a response to the complaint that we had filed. And there are many more points that we took into consideration, that you took into consideration when you responded to my complaint. You had indicated that there were, you remember the complaint was divided into, I think it was 4 or 5 different parts, and then the 2 complaints. There were the requests and then the complaints. My understanding is that you were to discuss that, and if you like, I've sent you a letter on this, so I'm not going to repeat the whole thing, but it's in my letter of November the 23rd, what my understanding of the response to my complaint was. If the meeting is in response to my complaint, I hope that the focus will be on the complete items that we had mentioned. And I will read those if you don't mind, because I want them on the record. They're not, this is a paragraph, Marvin, not a big long. But it is important that we understand that this will complete the complaint process. And that's the reason I set this up, so that we would have a complete cycle of the complaint process. This is from my 1025 letter. All of this is on the forum. I've sent you multiple copies of this. I'm wondering if anybody's on the forum. I don't see anyone ever signing up on the forum. And of course, I think I've mentioned to the folks on the subcommittee that I consider our exchanges of emails on this subject to the open meeting laws, and we're not complying with that. That's another issue that we haven't got on this agenda, was that Ms. Bell had a subcommittee that was to look into all of that. And we were to get back into that. I'm on that subcommittee also. And I don't know what will happen to that subcommittee. That was the one on the open meeting that we had set up. But anyway, that's another one that should be reviewed, because that's been hanging fire for about a year now. Here's what I had said. I agree with your decision according to the complaint 1, which I believe will be largely addressed by the 2 meetings now planned by the board. That's the forums and the brainstorming session, whatever those turn out to be. Specifically, I understand that the meetings will focus on analyzing and describing the interrelated roles, responsibilities, and authorities that the city's communication ordinance vests in the Telecommunications Board. That is because we've had pretty heated discussions on what that is, what those responsibilities are. The city council, what their responsibilities are, and the city administration. There has been some discussion of what their respective responsibilities are and their jurisdiction. And those are heavy, heavy responsibilities. And perhaps even more complicated now with the departure of Ms. Bell and Ms. Thomas. Central topics of these meetings, and I'm suggesting that the purpose of the forum and the brainstorming session is to respond to this complaint. Central topics would include the respective legal obligations and administrative responsibilities for the development and interpretation of the Fayetteville government channel policies and procedures. That's what we've had the big runaround about for the last year or so. We have not established that. We have not established who's in charge. And I say here, I anticipate that the meetings will provide working models for future events to be requested and developed under the newly revised Fayetteville government channel policies and procedures, which apparently will require substantial continuing board action on the tabled items. And I'm not going to go into all that, and I also indicate that I could not agree with complaint number 2. I'm not going to get into that tonight, because I really want to just talk about the meeting, the forum. We can discuss some of this if we agree, and I will, if we don't want to discuss it tonight, I will discuss it in the meeting that we have. But I wanted to bring these up as my view of what we're talking about in response to my complaint, rather than the introduction of other items that are in the agenda that Mr. Hilton set up. Those are perfectly fine for discussion as far as I'm concerned, but I would certainly, in a 1-hour meeting or whatever we're going to do, it's going to take a long time to get through that agenda that has been set up. That's one of the problems we had back in April when we set up the Forum on Forums. We simply didn't have enough time to go through all the items, many of which are still on the agenda that has been submitted to you. And that's where I stand as complaining. I see many of these items that were simply not addressed in April, and we're now back with no issue forums in the policy. I also sit on the policy subcommittee, which is separate from the forum subcommittee, which is what we had submitted earlier and voted, and you all voted 3-3 on. So that subcommittee has some responsibility in the same area. And at the same time, we are going through, within the city, under Mayor Jordan, a transition team, communication transition team, which is discussing some of these same items that would be included in our discussions on the subcommittee. So I just think that some group of you all, or whatever you want to call the meeting, would include the transition team studies. They've done a great job, and they're discussing many of these items already. So that's where I stand on it. I'll be happy to attend the meeting, and y'all have some idea through these letters what I'll be wanting to discuss. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Can I just make a comment? I think that we need to differentiate between what we're accomplishing in the planning meeting, what we're accomplishing in the forum. And I think what Mr. Bemis is talking about are more what we need to ensure through our planning gets discussed in the forum. The planning meeting is not the discussion of the items. The planning meeting is to put the logistics around the forum, which is the place to discuss the items. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. I agree with you, and I just want to make sure that the foremost part of the meeting is what several of us have requested in the complaint, and rather than get diffused with many other items.
Sure.
And that's what's happened to us in the past. We simply have too much to discuss in a single meeting.
Well, then maybe we have multiple meetings.
Pardon me?
We might have multiple
Well,
meetings.
you know, that we could certainly have had those, and that's where we stand. There is a lot to discuss, and I'm really glad to see y'all ready to tackle it, because every day there seems to be more rather than less. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hilton.
I would like to take this opportunity to ask anybody here present tonight on the board if they'd like to participate in that forum, because part of what we're going to be doing is, gathering a group together to discuss this, and I think that one or two people from the board from the Telecom Board ought to be in on that.
I'd like to go. Be able to attend.
Okay.
I would tentatively be willing to attend, pending the outcome of the planning session and the time and dates of the forum.
Okay. Anyone else?
I suspect I'll be trying to participate, or certainly will attend. But are we recruiting the public to participate in the forum as full-fledged? We obviously will want them to be there, anybody who can be there and speak or participate. But if it's set up as some of these are, that you've got some people at a board table like this or whatever, are you inviting some people specifically for that purpose?
Well, I was mainly just wanting to see if there were members of the Telecom Board who wanted to participate.
Right, first.
But actually, we're kind of getting into what the planning session is going to be about here.
Okay.
And the participants, obviously, is a very important part of that. But also, the fact that we want some of the telecom board members to participate is something I thought I could go ahead and do while we're sitting here.
I would think that the limited time frame available for a lunchtime planning session would limit the ability for the public to comment. So I would say plan in the planning session, and then the forum would be the platform for the public input, would seem to be
Yeah.
logical.
Sure.
Anybody else have something to contribute on that? Public? Anybody from the public? Okay, what do we have under old business then? The old business on the back of the cable administration plan. Okay, this is very efficient. We're not complaining about this, but we all have trouble sometimes losing a page that's just a small part on the back. Suggested changes to reporting City 16 TV community events calendar. This came from the staff, from Rick. And it says, as discussed at the November 20th, 2008 meeting concerning how the community events calendar, also known as the message board, how those numbers are reported each quarter, the staff unanimously recommends to the board that we count the number of pages completed rather than the number of messages submitted. A ratio of 3 to 1. Number of pages rather than the number of messages submitted.
Do we need to approve that?
I think we'd better approve it in light of the fact that we discussed it. He explained it a little bit that night in November, and
Right.
it seemed logical at the time. So
Yeah, I don't question it. I just wonder, I mean, he's presenting it as if we have to approve it.
Yeah.
And I just.
yeah,
I don't see a problem.
it's a procedural thing, but he's giving us the opportunity to consider it almost as though it were a policy matter. I think it's a procedure that I think is a staff concern unless we had complaints about it for some reason.
It is part of the performance measure, though,
Oh, yes,
so,
Maybe that's the
Yeah.
reason we need to approve it.
right.
So when that time comes again, we'll have to remember or put it in the minutes that we have approved it being done this way and consider it that way. That's what he's asking for, is it?
If we do that, we probably need to vote on it.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept doing it this way?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes then. Hope Rick's watching at home or something, please. Hope he's not ill. Under new business,
I didn't see any for that, did you?
I can't find anything in the packet here.
I didn't see anything under new business. I think it's just kind of up for discussion.
It's just, does
Up for
anyone have any
discussion, yeah.
business?
I wanted to make a suggestion. I know for several years during the telecom board meeting, we had email and telephone call in for the viewers. And there was a time when we always received 1 or 2 calls, but that was, I think, kind of dismissed. My impression is it was kind of dismissed, so it quit being something that happened. And I think we ought to encourage that once again, because I think that's a good way to have open and participatory government. And in fact, at some point, we might even suggest that the city council provide that. And I have read at least one account where a city allowed participation by their citizens in a city council meeting by way of two-way video, I believe through the internet. They had a monitor there, and the city council could hear their voice and see their image as they participated from their home or wherever they were. And I think we as a telecom board could, set an example of doing that by reinstating that at our own meetings. I don't see the telephone or the laptop here this evening.
I don't remember when that disappeared. I know we did it for a while, but no one ever called.
Well, I know, I've been on the board since 2005, and I've never seen a single person call or email.
Marvin's been lining people
I have
up.
seen
It must have been before then.
times when we had calls.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it was encouraged. And I think, I didn't realize it's been back to 2005.
Actually, there might have been one.
I think
There
so.
might have been one email
But
with Richard. There might have been one email one time.
That was one of his buddies.
I don't know. It seems like there's never been a call since I've been on the board.
I think it'd be worth trying. That's my suggestion.
Well, hey, there's nothing wrong with putting it out there and encouraging it.
Sure. I don't have a problem with it. It was an idea. But like I said, it's had limited response.
Yeah.
So.
Well, certainly, we'd like to have more public response and participation, and it's hard to get people out, and I'm amazed we have anybody from the public here or all the members tonight. This is wonderful, even though it's probably back down to 7 degrees by now or something.
Yes.
Anything else for new business? But first, I would say, I don't know that we need to vote on it, but I think we all just agree that we want to see that happen. I'll try to talk with the staff about having the phone in here and making sure that one of us has a laptop with us and makes it available for that purpose, and that it's online in this room.
I was going to say, if the logistics are there for email, then I'd be glad to bring my laptop.
Would you?
Maybe we could have them text a certain code and win a prize, and then we might get some response.
That could be creative. There are ways of encouraging it.
It's easy
Have
to
a
do
trivia
here.
question?
Various staff members do it for council meetings and so forth, and planning commission. None of us have ever gotten online ourselves. But
Perhaps we can just follow up on it and address it at the next meeting.
It's essential to have that, because with the new administration's transparent or form of government, that we would really invite the public to participate, to call in and send us emails.
That'd be great.
We really ought to promote that, because
If everyone's in favor, then why don't we just send a message to whoever the city contact is for supporting the telecom board to please, once again, supply the laptop and the telephone.
I'll speak to Rick as soon as I can reach him. I hope he's available tomorrow. Phone and code for laptop, or whatever it takes.
Network connection, I think, would be the only thing we would do.
Should we vote on that so
It's
it'll
here.
carry a little weight?
Well, okay, would you like to vote? Do we have a motion to that effect?
I so moved.
What is the nature of the motion? To inquire about the availability of those
To
resources?
make a formal request to the city staff to provide the laptop connection to the internet and the telephone, much as was done, by the way, during the transition team's communication subcommittee meeting, which they got one telephone call and I think 5 emails, one of which was mine.
That's right, I remember your name
I remember that.
in the meeting. Those, we would have to hope that those meetings, the fact that they're doing those is going to get more public participation. So we might be bombarded with emails
Yes.
next month if we get it.
I hope so.
Was there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, new business. Anybody else have any other business or any announcements, upcoming events?
I'm not going to do it tonight, but y'all, did you receive my November 17th request complaint that was sent to you by email? And Rick had indicated he was going to provide it for the agenda tonight.
Yeah, we got it. Right.
Have you got it should be dated November the 17th. Remember, that's the one I had last time, and it came in too late. And I hope that we can discuss it at the next meeting, because it relates directly to our work on the board subcommittee for policy and procedures, for which y'all had a 3-3 vote. And I think that really important that we look at how the current policy was decided upon and framed, and for the discussion was framed for the policy, current policy. I'm not real sure. I've asked several people what the current policy is, and I'm assuming it's the one Ms. Thomas sent out in October. But in other words, I think there needs to be something on the city's website about current government channel policy.
Mr. Bemis, could you summarize, is this complaint a new, or are you restating an unresolved old complaint?
That's a new complaint.
A new complaint.
As you recall, I didn't fulfill the time requirements for some of the portions of the other, and this is a complaint that takes into account some of the other, but it is a new complaint. It's a separate complaint. And as I say, I'd rather not, if you want.
Well, I know, I guess I kind of get lost sometimes in all the links and the references to this. I mean, there's a lot that frankly, I can't spend 6 hours reading back through everything we've done for years. So I'm trying to just get to a really quick summary. Is your summary statement that you say, please also consider this form as a complaint that the board's policy and procedures for citizen complaints and the complaint appeal process have not been responsive to my complaint and attempts to follow the board's appeal process? Is that your summary statement?
That is a summary statement, but you have to read, of course, the other to realize that the details are left out. And the details are how the policy was decided upon, how the current policy was decided upon, how the board went about it, a separate meeting by Ms. Bell and the attorney and Ms. Thomas. It was presented to the board, and some of us submitted alternative policy. I don't forget how many of us did, but those were not ever considered by the board. They were looked at by a subcommittee, but they were never considered by the board. Those are the kinds of things I'd like to discuss next time about how we do that sort of thing, how the policies are arrived.
So your complaint is specifically about how we arrived at the new policy?
That's right. That'd be a good summary.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Was this in the packet?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.